Welcome to the Community and Economic Development Committee meeting. It is Wednesday, November 15th at 5:33. To my right is John Swazer. To my left is Tom Kendall, and myself is Chair William Twiss. Left, right. Your left.
Your left and right.
And right. Just making sure you're awake this evening. But we have two things to come before the committee, and we'll just take them one at a time. The first one is to provide a recommendation to council regarding the rezoning of 25 parcels on West Main Street, and I will let Patrick update us on that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first item relates to the former ITW property across from Tim Hortons. It's the through lots that are surrounded by Main Street, Adams Street, Elm, and Water Street. The reason the subject that you read mentions 25 parcels is that they are in the process of combining those into one, and so that is a process that is they are undergoing. In your packet, you have a transmittal from the Planning Commission. This is a request by Dana's Construction on behalf of Kettering Health to rezone the property to a planned development. The Planning Commission evaluated this at their last meeting and unanimously recommends that the council approve this. There are two reasons for the request for planned development. In this district, the height limit on the conventional zoning is 40 feet. Given the height of the elevator shaft and the facade work that you see, I believe you've got a rendering in your packet. They are requesting, I believe, 68 as the top. As discussed at the Planning Commission, the fire chief was in attendance. He would have been fire suppression would have been the biggest concern that we have. We do have the sufficient equipment and staffing to handle any incident that might happen there, given that height, as well as given the fact that the entire building will be sprinklered. He had no reservations whatsoever. This is a through lot, and with, as you see in the lot plan, there are several entrances and exits to the lot as well as to the building, and so because it's a through lot with four sides visible, basically four frontages, they were requesting some different signage than what is allowed in the conventional zoning district. Again, the Planning Commission reviewed that and did not have any concerns. I will say that thus far in the process, we have been speaking early and often with Kettering and their representatives, and prior to bringing any kind of PD renderings to the Planning Commission, both of us, we had our traffic engineer discussing impacts of that development on that corner. One of the results of that, and what you should see if you can really look into the fine detail of the lot plan, the plot plan, that Kettering is dedicating 14 feet, I believe, of right-of-way, 14 feet on their Main Street side, and several feet, I'm not sure how many, on the Adams Street side. As we've evaluated the West Main corridor to get ready for construction project and the traffic analysis, we know that because that is the highest area of rear enders on that street, certainly, but I believe in the entire city, we know that we have to do some traffic calming and some separation there. Kettering was very interested in making sure that they have a curb cut onto Main Street. And so from the plan that you see in your packet, which may or may not be readily apparent, their approach on Main Street will be a right in, right out only, with the idea that as we redevelop and improve West Main Street, that there will be a boulevard in the section between Adams Street and Elm Street on Main. And so by providing us that right-of-way, Kettering is helping alleviate the impacts of the traffic that'll be going in and out of their property. Everything else that you see there meets all of our standards. They have more than adequate parking. They're providing entrances at the distances that we'd like to see them, approaches, et cetera. And so again, the Planning Commission and the staff are recommending this plan development be approved. They are asking for emergency legislation. This is a long construction project with a major impact, and so time is of the essence for them. And so we are also recommending that you approve this, or that you recommend to council that they approve it by emergency legislation.
Okay.
And there are representatives of Danis in the audience if you have any other questions for them, as well as Tim Davis, who has been the primary staff person working this
All right.
through.
Any questions, John?
Yes, thank you. What about the property across Water Street, where the Troy Lumber property is now?
Okay.
I understand that's been sold, that was announced on the news.
Kettering did buy that property. They have no immediate plans for that property. I neglected to say also that there are no plans to vacate Water Street. This development, this PD, is all within the 4 roads that I mentioned, or that I listed earlier.
North Elm Street, that's a north and south only, just one lane. Okay. God, what else was there? You mentioned traffic on Main Street. Was this area part of the Wolpert study, or is this the traffic study that is going out to the interstate?
The second.
The second?
The interstate, the West Main from Cherry out to I-75, yes.
Okay. I have nothing else right now.
Okay. Tom?
No, at this point, I'm fine. Everything was answered for me.
Any questions from other city council members?
Sir.
Bobby?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The helipad, is that at ground level? That
It
is not
is.
on a roof?
That would be a surface, and that too, I should have mentioned that, it was discussed at the Planning Commission. That is subject to FAA approval, and Kettering is well aware of and agrees that whatever conditions are placed by the FAA, they will, of course, abide by them.
And the only concern with the additional, 28 feet with the fire department on the 60-foot top elevation, that was fire apparatus, and that has been.
Yeah, there's no issue with the fire department. The more compelling reason is that it is entirely sprinkled.
Right. Yes, read that. Those are the only 2 questions I have. Thank you.
Any other council members? All right. Any staff have any comments? All right.
Mr. Chair, one more thing I'll note. You are hearing this tonight with, and so what that will mean is that, assuming the recommendation is positive, it will go on the agenda for first reading next Monday.
Correct.
That will put the public hearing, which is a state timeline dictated process, at the 3rd reading, which is not usual. We usually do it at the
Right.
2nd reading. And so we're having the committee meeting a little earlier. It will still, though, get 3 readings. And if there are any issues with the public hearing, then, of course, you always
can
reserve the right to reconvene. But we don't anticipate any questions or concerns that may require that. And so we would still get the
Okay.
3 readings, and then the end of
Rest of it.
December 18th, I believe, would be the
Would be
third
the third
reading
reading.
and
Okay,
possible passage.
okay. John?
I'm good with moving forward emergency.
Tom?
Go forward with
I
emergency.
agree. Let's move forward with emergency for the
right.
committee.
Thank
The the second item,
Second item is with regards to the moratorium that has been in place since June 5th with the area on North Market Street, so that we could complete with MKSK a corridor study, economic development impact study, if you will.
right,
They've done a lot of background work, demographics, market study. They've done some, I think some survey work, as well as a couple of public meetings. The second one was just a couple of weeks ago and was extremely well attended, I thought.
yeah,
And so they are moving full steam ahead, but they want to have a comprehensive reuse plan. There has been some more interest in that property, and not only just from the neighborhood, but from various business interests. And so to make sure they can do a comprehensive review, they want to, they will not meet the early December 6-month deadline.
okay,
And so we're requesting another 6 months, and the reason for the 6 months is so they can finish the work, present it to us, and then if there are any kind of adjustments legally that we would want to make, zoning and otherwise, that may take a few weeks, if not months, just because of the statutory requirements. So we're recommending another 6-month moratorium to make sure that happens. And to make sure that the moratorium stays in place, we are also asking for emergency legislation as well.
okay. Any questions, John? Any
No.
questions, Tom? Any questions from other council members?
If I may.
Bobby?
Chair. Patrick, off of the community meeting that was held regarding this particular area, has there been any contact with the property owner of that whole Marshes complex since that meeting? Has there been any contact?
I know that there's been some conversation between us, between staff and their representatives.
Okay. All right. That's all I needed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other councilmen have any questions, concerns, anything from the staff? All right. John?
I'm good, let's move forward
Tom?
emergency.
Yes.
All right, if we can move forward with emergency legislation, that would be great. Anything else to come before the Community Economic Development? All right, we're adjourned.